Good morning to each everyone. My name is Jesus Tusagawan. I came from BE 3D, and for today's video, I will answer my final examination through live video. And first, questions. Differentiate parallel instruction from differentiated split class team teaching. So the answer is parallel instruction is one of the type of team teaching where the class is divided into two groups and each teacher is responsible for teaching the same materials to his or her smaller group, while the differentiated split class team teaching is another type of team teaching where the class is divided into smaller groups and each teachers are responsible for teaching according to their learning needs. So, in short, differentiated split class is a type of team teaching involves dividing class into smaller groups according to their learning needs. Each educator provides the respective group with the instructions required to meet their learning needs. So that is the answer of questions number 1. Number 2 questions is, how would you define the following? So I will define the following given topic or statement. Okay. So first, I will define is the team teaching. So team teaching defined as an groups of two or more teachers working together to plan, to conduct, and evaluate the learning activities for the same group of learners. So that is the meaning of the team teaching. So from the word team teaching, so the collaboration of all teachers working together for their learners. Okay, that's that. The second I will define is peer teaching. So what is peer teaching? So peer teaching is one of the best way to master a particular subject. It is a method of teaching where a student instructs another student, wherein the former will be an expert and the latter a novice. So that's it. So where peer teaching is from the word peer. So it's a method of teaching where a student or a learner instruct teaching to another learner. So that is the peer teaching. So the third one is direct teaching. So what is direct teaching? So direct teaching is a method that is used when the teacher is in the classroom and gives training to the students. So direct teaching class is take for example like a teacher in the class. So they are directly giving instructions, directions to their learners on how to do the activities or assessments. So that is the example of the direct teaching, which is the best example on it is the teacher. So next, indirect teaching. So what is indirect teaching? So indirect teaching is a student-oriented education method. So from the word student-oriented, so meaning the learners is in the center of the classroom. So the learners is the one who will teach or share their ideas, their knowledge of what they have learned to what given topic by a teacher. So in this method, the teacher gives the necessary materials to the students rather than offering a live lessons in the classroom management. The teacher's role in this method is more of a facilitator. So more of facilitator ang teachers than a lecturer of a teacher. So that is the meaning of the indirect teaching. So number 3 question. Compare and contrast. So collaborative teaching and complementary. So I will compare and contrast the collaborative teaching and complementary teaching. So collaborative teaching is where this academic experience describes a traditional team teaching situations in which the team teachers work together. So from the word collaborative, so the team teachers working together in designing the course and teach the materials not by the usual monologue but rather by exchanging and discussing ideas and theories in front of the learners, while the complementary teaching is when one teacher is responsible for teaching the content to the students, while the other teachers takes charge for providing follow-up activities on related topics or study skills. So, for example, in a classroom, there is two teachers in one classroom. That is the example of complementary teaching. So, the one teacher is teaching or responsible for teaching the content of the students, while the another teacher, the extra teacher, or one of the serve as their partners or assistant, will giving or providing follow-up activities on related topics. So if there is a related topics given by the first or lecturer or teachers, so the another or assistant of the teacher will give an follow-up activities. So that's it, the example of complementary teaching. The example of the collaborative teaching is which the teachers are collaborating or working together in designing the course and teach the materials not by the usual monologue. So that's it, there is a collaboration between all teachers. Then fourth question is, what are the important decisions or things to be discussed in team planning? So first, the first important decision is what will be presented. So what will be presented, like lesson, objectives, and in what order. So we need to consider first the lessons, objectives of our in decisions, important decisions. The second is how the material is to be presented. So does it it's up to you in how you will be presented your material. So it either be a large group or a small group. So does it then how will you presented the material. So the third one is who is to present the information. So who is so in team planning you will collaborating each other on and then organize on who will discuss this part and another part. So there must be a management in each lesson. Next, how the students will be assessed, and so that's it. Number 4, in how the students will be assessed in if either you will make a role play or you make a written activities. So that's it. And the last one, or the fifth, is how small groups will be organized and when team teachers will be assigned to each small group. So that's it, on how you will and or how a small groups will be organized on sa mo pag organize, right, that, and which team teachers will be assigned to it. So take for example in one classroom, so you are giving a 4 groups and each groups must have a different activities, like the group 1 drawing, making a drawing, the group 2 writing a story or essay. So that's it. So that's the example. The fifth question is discuss each type of peer teaching. So there are 4 types of peer teaching. So this is the first. The first type of peer teaching is one-way peer teaching. From the word one way, this way of peer teaching provides only the trained tutor to teach. whereas the child with the some kind of disability will remain passive. So that's it, the example of one way per teaching. The second type is the duplex or reciprocal peer teaching. This is a two-way. So the first type is one way, but this duplex is two-way or bidirectional teaching process where a student with a disability is paired with a student without disability to form a dyad or pair, and both of them will get chances to teach and learn. So that's it, the duplex. The third type is class-wide peer tutoring. So it involves grouping the entire class into peers and peer mentoring each other by giving prompts, errors, correction, and helping each other. So that is the third. The last one, or the fourth, is the crisscross or cross-age peer teaching. It's a method of tutoring when children in different age groups and ability levels are paired together to work for on tasks. So in a different age, sa lain-lain nga edad. Sixth question, give at least 5 characteristics of discussion method. So 5 characteristics of discussion method. So first characteristic, as a helper and guide to students, the teacher determines the subject. So the teacher determines the subject. Second, students receive meaningful and improving feedback and criticism from each other. The third, the discussion method should be done on a topics that students already know or have learned before. The fourth one, during the discussion, the students talk while the teacher observes. The students talk while the teacher observes, lessons, and analyze the environment. So that's it, the fourth characteristic. The last and fifth characteristic is where the teacher should divide the students into small or large groups according to the subjects or the number of people. So that's it, the fifth characteristics of discussion method. And the seventh question, explain one input, many activities, shared at output, a strategy in teaching multi-grade classroom, and give one example. So what is one input, many activities, shared output? On the word one input, so only one you input one strategy you will input, and many activities will shared. So what is mean by that? So this is the definition. This is a strategy that the teachers can use in multi-grade setting. Teachers plan for a shared experience with the whole class. For example, the experience could be shared reading with a big book or an excursion to an interesting venue. So that's it, the example. So another simple example of this strategy could be when the teacher reads a story to the 3/4 of class. Group 1 draws a picture from the story. The group 2 write the story in vernacular term or in their own words. The group 3 creates a different ending of the story. So that's it, the example of one input, many activities, shared output. In a one story, there are many activities will be done in a one story. So that's the example of one input, many activities, shared output. And the last or 8 questions for today's video is give the given question. So first given question is, what would you consider when you are going to select a story? So unsa kaya itong i-consider, no, if we are going to select is a tale or story? So first we need to consider is In selecting a story or tale, we must consider first the language difficulty. So that's it. We need to consider language difficulty. The second we consider is the instructional objectives. So that's it. The second we must to consider in selecting story the instructional objectives. The third one is the content appropriateness. So that's the third one, content appropriateness. And the fourth one is interactive opportunities. So there must be an interactive opportunities. So and next, the fifth one is the cognitive loads. From the word cognitive, it is term it is refers in our mind. So that's it. And the last one is the extension opportunities. So there is an extension opportunities from the word extension. So mas mo taas pa or mo extend. And the second question is, what would you consider when telling a story? So what would you consider when telling a story? When telling is saying or reading or sharing the telling in the front of the class. So first, prepare the environment. So we must prepare the environment. So for example, in the classroom, this is an environment, right? Second, prepare the audience for listening. So you must do prepare the audience for listening. The third one is know where you are headed and how to get there. So you must know on where you are headed and how to get there. The fourth one is evaluate continuously and adapt accordingly. So you must do evaluate continuously and adapt accordingly. And the third question or last and very last question is, what would you consider after telling a story? So when if you talk after, so it's already done telling the story, right? So after telling a story, we must consider first the make your shared experience real through extension and reflection activities. Second, evaluate and reflect in order to improve or try again. So that's it. That's it. That two we must consider in after telling a story. So that's it. All the 8 questions for final examinations, and I hope you learned something for my shared ideas. And that's it. Thank you and goodbye.